All right. Good evening once again. Okay, so yesterday we started looking at pivot table as one of the most powerful data analytics function in Microsoft Excel. And we are able to learn the fundamentals in that section. Fundamentals in the sense that we were taught the definition of pivot table as a statistical function which is used to summarize, analyze, exploit, and derive insights from data sets, specifically large data sets. We also look at the key components of pivot table, where I explain the role of the row, the column, the value, and the filter section. Now, we also look at some of the benefits of using or considering pivot table for your business analytics or descriptive analysis, which you can see on the screen. Easy to use, no formula is needed, saves time on manual summaries, allowing filtering, sorting, and drilling down into data, supports multiple calculation using sum, count, and average. So this was exactly where we stopped. Now, after this theory section, I also expose us to how you can start generating your pivot report. So I'm going to actually go through some of those things we did again, because my focus is how to create a data analysis dashboard with pivot table. How to create data analysis dashboard with pivot table. That is my focus in this section. Now, before we go into the application of the pivot table, I would like to also inform us that there are two ways you can actually implement pivot table in Excel. It's either you manually generate the pivot report using the headers in the data set you are given, or you depend on the suggested method. So in other words, there is an AI version which will have synchronized your data and be able to come up with some suggested analysis reports, which can also represent models for drawing your conclusions from the given data set. So I'm going to start with, so I may be mixing them up in trying to build a dynamic and an interactive dashboard. So we are given this data to analyze or to present insights or to identify pattern, trend, and outlier with pivot table. So what are the practical steps I am supposed to observe? One, like I established in yesterday's section, I said it is important you format the data as table in order to enhance updation. Okay, in order to enhance updating subsequent entry that will be coming into this data source. So, and I also showed us yesterday how you can actually format your data as table, because as it is right now, though the record looks as if they are in a tabular format because they were entered in columns and rows. But if you try to print, you will notice that the grid lines will not be active, which means that they are not officially recognized as table. So our table are like pre-designed formats which we can use to modify or to change the appearance of the given data. So we are saying that this format is recommended because it enhances pivot table summarizing data. So how do we go about it? You select the entire data frame. So I am holding down the control and the shift button. Then as usual, I'll hit the right arrow button in order to select the entire data horizontally, and then press the down arrow to select the same entire data vertically. So once that is done, I will be proceeding to my home tab, and then under home tab, you see a section that is titled Styles. So within this area, you click on Format Table or Format as Table. So I can pick from any of these options. And then when it brings out this dialog box, asking me to specify the range, where is the particular record I want to format as table is. So I'll just continue with the range that has been captured, and then make sure that my table has header option is checked so that the pivot table or the table function will not generate new headings. So that is the essence of considering this just the way it prompted it, and click OK. And then once that is done, you will notice that your data appearance have changed. So what we have right now is the initial raw data we were given to format has now been reprocessed in a tabular format, which supports the pivot table as a statistical function we are working with. So once you have done this, the next thing is for you to identify the questions you want to answer. The questions you want to answer with the pivot table will be the next option. I told us yesterday that it is very important we always identify the question we actually want the pivot table to analyze for us, because these questions will actually lead to identifying the main purpose of data analysis, which is identifying trend, patterns, and the outliers, which at the end of the day will formulate your executive report that will influence decision making positively. So we should always know that there is a target. So any of the tool you are exploring, you should always know that what you are hunting for as a data analyst is pattern, trend, and outlier, which will determine your decision. Okay, so now I have formatted the data in a tabular format. So what are the possible questions I can actually answer flexibly with the pivot table? Now, before I can draft those questions, you are advised to study the data, understand the objects that makes up the data, and also understand the series. I know from the beginning, I have explained what objects in a data frame are and what series are. But just for you to be refreshed, I explained where we started that the headers that makes up your data frame or data set are recognized or known as objects, while the rows, which also represent the record, can also be seen as the series. Now let's quickly spend 2 to 3 minutes understanding this data, because it will really help us to know what exactly we want the pivot table or the insight we want to derive from this data with the pivot table. Now, this is an Amazon sales data which comprises of the following headers or features. It has region, and there are different unique regions. And each of these regions are made up of different countries. So let's bear that in mind. Now, it also have a feature called country. Then we have item type. We have sales channels. We also have order of priority. We have dates, order date. We have order ID. We have ship date. We have unit cost. We have unit price. We have unit cost. We have revenue. And then we have total cost. And finally, we have total profit. So like I explained yesterday, this is a very analysis strong data. So this data you can actually, or let me say this data is very rich. There are a whole lot of analysis questions that can actually be drafted from this data. Okay, so the first one I'm going to look at is, I am asked as a data analyst to summarize total profits per country. So that is the first question I'm going to answer with the pivot table. Remember that whatever we are going to put out together in this section will form our interactive and dynamic dashboard. Now, that is going to be the first question. The second question will be, what is the total profits generated from all the region? So I will also answer that question with the pivot table. Another question I'm going to answer is, what is the total number of entry or transaction in the Amazon data? In the Amazon data. So the next question I'm going to answer, because the answering of all these questions will form the dashboard. Now, the next question is that, what is the total average of revenue generated from all the region? And break it down per country. Break it down per country. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 questions drafted, but let me add more. So I'm also asked as a data analyst, in order to drive positive insights, positive decision making, I am also asked to summarize total profits per sales. You can also be writing them down, just like I'm doing, because I'll be picking them one after the other and use them to create the dashboard. Summarize total profits per sales channels. That is the first part of the question.
No, sir.
Summarize the total Summarize the total profit per sales channel. That is the first part of that question. The next one is that also break it down per order of priority. Also break it down per order of priority. So we can go on and on. So in between, while I am developing the dashboard, I may chip in more questions to answer. But let me just take care of this one first. Now, I have already formatted the data as table, which is part of what we learned yesterday, if you have gone through the video. Now that you have done that, the next step, I am going to use the manual method to answer all these questions. I told us yesterday that there are two ways you can actually implement pivot table. It's either you use the manual method where you manually choose the header to define your report, or you use the recommended option. So the recommended option is just like a pivot table creating or suggesting some analysis for you, which you can adopt if it aligns with what you want to do, or you re-engineer it to become exactly what you want to actually analyze. So we're going to see all that playing out in this class because I'm going to combine them together. But I'm going to use more of the manual so that we can be rooted. Now, I've highlighted my data sets, which I have already formatted as table. The next step is for me to go to Insert tab. So from the Insert tab, I am considering this. This is the manual option, the one that says Pivot Table. So I'll click on this, and then it prompts me a dialog box. So what I'm expected to do here is to specify where exactly do I want or to specify the table you actually want to use to generate your pivot report. So like I told us yesterday, I can leave it like this, or I can change the name if I want to report underscore table. So whichever way you want it, you can name it or you go ahead with the default. Now, the next section is where I need to specify the location where will the pivot report be outputted. So if you click on the first one, which says new worksheet, it means that it will create the report in a different sheet from this source or your data source sheet. So which I recommended yesterday. Okay, so I'm going to walk all through with this option. So if you want to know how I actually apply this one, if you are not in that class, go and watch the video. Well, I just want to stay on this because this is the best practice. Now, I'll click on this. Then what is saying, the data source reference is invalid. Okay, so it does not recognize my name, the name I use. So let me quickly go ahead with the one it recognized. So I click. So automatically you can see that an empty report has been generated. An empty report has been generated. So which means that we should always see pivot table as a reporter. In other words, pivot table is used to report insight, to report, let's just say report insight from a given data set. Okay, now, how do I know what to do for this report to receive data? As you can see here, to build a report, choose field from the pivot table field list. So where is the pivot table field list? Here, all this item you are seeing here. So that is what it's actually saying. And remember I said I am going to focus on manual. We have questions we are answering that will end up forming our pivot dashboard. Minute. All right. So the first question, you can also be writing down the question alongside with me. The first question I want to answer here is, I may not follow the order at which I wrote them before, because I want to start with single metric analysis before I go into categorical or comparison analysis. Now, if I am going to consider single metric analysis, I want to focus on features like total profit, total cost, total revenue. So these 4 items or these 3 items, I'm going to use them to form what we call CAD. This CAD is just like single metric analysis. Just like you ask someone that, what is the total profit generated from all the country? That is going to give us one single line report or value. So what I'm going to do, I will simply drag the total profit. So what is the question I am answering? The question I am answering is, what is the total profit generated from all the country or all the region, whichever way you put it, the total profit generated. So I will just simply drag it and then add it to value section. So I've answered that question. As you can see, this is the total profit generated from all the region and also all the country. So I will format it because this is a dashboard. So what I'm supposed to do first is to merge the whole of this section together. I know I must have taught us merging before now. So merging it, or I can decide not to merge. Let me use a graphic test. Go to word art, then select any of these word art as symbol, then type Amazon sales analysis dashboard. Amazon sales analysis dashboard. So I can reduce the size. These are things we must have known before now. Then let me move this down a bit so. So let me put it here. Then I'll just go to shape. What I will do is to highlight the whole of that section and give it a background color just to silence all the, the grid lines. And then the text itself, I'll change it to white color. So select it, then come here, change it to white. Then I don't think we need a, okay, I could just leave it like this. So now there is need for me to edit this particular label. So I will just select it and come to the formula bar and say what I actually outputted here is the total profit, because this is a dashboard. So you need to make sure that you have all your values well defined. Total profit is total profit generated. So I could just leave it like this. Then I will have to format it. Let me change the alignment of that write-up, or I change the alignment of the content to the same side. Let me see if I maintain center. Good, I think this is better. So I will enhance it a little, hold it, you can increase the size, then the value as well. So you have to make sure that your dashboard value are very visible. They are visible. So let me see if I can increase this also a little. Now I need to format this with a comma in order to separate them. So I think I'll leave it like this. Saving dashboard. I'm having this issue of saving because so that we will not have that kind of issue. The data I am working with is a CSV data. And when you open CSV data, you're advised to change it to, if you save, don't be surprised you switch off a set now, and then tomorrow you will not see all this that you must have done. So what you need to do is to make sure that you change it to a set format. And how do you do that? You go to File, select Save As. Then I still want to save it in this folder. Then I will just switch from CSV to Excel so that it doesn't, so that I do not lose the information the next time I open it. Okay, so that is done. So I've answered the first question. So the second question is, that question is still dealing with single metric value or analysis. Second one is that what is the total entry or total transaction that generated this particular value? This is about 44 million plus. So the company wants to know how many transactions actually generated this. So how do I answer that question? What I'm going to do is to duplicate. There are two ways I can actually achieve this, but I'm looking at the one that is better for us. So is to duplicate this, just highlight this, and then Control C, and then form a design with your report. So I'm leaving the whole of this space between the first one and the second one. So I'll start here, Control V. And then what I did is that I just duplicated that first one. So whenever you have this issue of hash, it means a limited space. Now, what I am going to do is just to switch the function, because the default function pivot table uses in analyzing data is sum. So if you want to switch from sum to count, you simply right click on the report value, and then you now come to where you have summarize value by. You switch from sum to count. So from this, I have already answered the question. So we have total 100 entry or transaction that generated this amount of profit. So I've answered that question. So the next one is the total average. The next question I want to answer is the total average. The total average of this. Okay, so the average is going to add up all the value just like the way we have it and divide it by the total number of entry, which is 100. So if you divide this value, the value you have here, by this 100, it will give us the total average. So I'm going to use that same logic that I use now. So I will also copy this, Control C, and then leave this one column and then paste here. Then I will double click here to expand it automatically. Then also switch the function from from sum to average. So I will right click on that value or any of the report value, then select summarize by, then switch to average. So you have also outputted the average. Now, since it's average, I need to format it with this percentage sign if you wish, or you leave it like this. So whichever one that you feel that is better for you. So I still want to answer one more single metric analysis. Okay, so I want to check Now, the next one I want to answer is, let me go back to the data because that will help me to know calculated average, calculated count, calculated sum. Okay, I think let me also analyze the total average of, so I need to name this sheet my dashboard. Dash. So the next question I want to answer is the total average of revenue, not total profit. We are asked to analyze the total average. This is the data set. The total average. This time around, we are not dealing with this column. We want to focus on the total revenue. Then we'll also analyze the total average revenue. So let me go back to my dashboard. And then to do that, I will have to copy. This one and then Control C. And then also leave that one space because we are trying to form a design. Because this is a dashboard. Your dashboard must be user friendly. Now that you have copied, the next thing is for me to switch. So I am going to replace the total profits that are initially added to my values panel with what? Revenue. That is what I'm going to do. So I will just drop this and then pick this. So I've answered the question. Okay. So what I am analyzing now is the total average. The total average of the total average rather, instead of what? The total profit. So there is need for me to also, if possible, to edit here if I want, or I leave it at that description, which is sum of total revenue. I think that is also descriptive enough. Okay. So now I have been able to analyze single metric value, total. Here I was not comparing one variable with another. That is why I refer to them as single metric analysis. Now let us quickly look at categorical analysis now, or comparison analysis, or aggregates, or aggregation of value based on the selected what? Unique variable. Now, the question we will answer from this aspect will be, number one, we are asked to, this particular total profit that you have analyzed, the company wants to get the breakdown of it per country, like I indicated when I was drafting the questions. So it is important that you don't just output this total sum like this. There is need for you to give a breakdown analysis. And that breakdown analysis leads to what? Categorical analysis or comparison analysis. Because that is where you are going to identify the most performing variable or the most performing country based on what you are dealing with. So the first categorical analysis I want to perform is, what is the total profit generated per country? The total profit generated per country. That is, we are going to list out all the unique profit country and then analyze the respective total profit generated from them. Then at the end of the day, if we sum up all the value that will be attributed to each of those countries, we should have a value equals to this. We should have a value equals to this. So that will actually checkmate this report. So this is where I would like it to be. So how do I go about that? So I go to my data set. Okay. Now the data set is already highlighted. So I will now go back to my insight. So from the insight, I'll select the same pivot table, but this time around, I will use existing sheet. You know why? Because I already have a dashboard sheet. So I don't want it to output this to a different sheet. So now I can work with what? Existing worksheet, but I'm not referring to the data source sheet. I am actually referring to this particular dashboard. So I will click in here and then go to that dashboard and then click on where you want to output it, which is here. I'm leaving this and then click OK. So it will bring the report here. Now you still have access to your header. Now remember the question says we are to analyze or summarize the total profit values per country. So I am going to start with the string picture, which is what? Country. So, and I want a vertical listing of those what? Country. So because I want a vertical listing, I will drag the country and put it under row. That will list out the country vertically. But if I want a horizontal listing, I will drag it and put it in what? Column. So that is the difference between assigning your string header either in column section or in the row section. So depending on the structure of how you want your report to be. Now remember the question is that we should give the breakdown of total profit per this listed country. So which means that I'm going to look for the total profits and drag it and add it to the value section. And that has automatically what? And summarize the value. That has also broken down the values according to the listed unique country. Now, remember that our target as data analysts is not just to present this. This is just a technical work which will help you to draw your conclusion that we facilitate positive or smart decision making. So at the end of your report like this, you need to back it up. You need to study this report and know, okay, now that you have summarized the entire total profit per this country, you will need to inform the organization which of the country is doing better or which of the country generates or generated the highest profit. That is the trending country. Okay, so you need to find out from your report, put it in writing, like I have advised us before now. All right, so now that I've done that, the next thing I'm going to do is to try and see how I can format this particular report. It's a long one. The countries are much. The countries are much. So what I will simply do so that we can see everything, let me swap the country with region. Let me turn off country and turn on what? Region, so that we can have a report we can actually view all the value at a glance. So as you can see, now I have to change this label because this is not actually describing this. So I'll click on it and then come here and simply define it as region. So let me get a feedback. Are we following before I proceed? Are we following? Somebody should unmute and respond. Are we following?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I don't really know.
Hello, sir.
Who is this Ifinis? Please, if you can introduce yourself. Is this Mr. Alfred? Okay. Okay, Mr. Alfred, you are welcome. Okay, Mrs. Mercy, wanted to say something.
Yes, sir. Sorry, I didn't know. Okay, did you filter this thing that you selected, the region and the total sum, to get it like this?
Here, are you referring to this report?
Yes, sir.
No, you know, initially I did not filter.
Sorry, whether you remove the duplicates. Okay.
No. Let me explain what I did. What I did,
Okay.
you know, initially the question I answered was summarize total profit based on countries. Okay, So I discovered that when it was country, the report was very long. The report was too long. So I needed something that we can see everything so that we'll see how the values will be changing when we start slicing. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Let's see. Are you still here?
Yes, I can hear you.
So what I did is
I
that,
can hear you, sir.
good. So what I did, I dropped country and then I pick region. It's not as if I filter. So that I will have a report that I can see all the value, because I noticed that we have too many countries. That was the reason why the report was so long. Exactly.
Very short. Okay.
Exactly.
Yes, sir. I understood.
All
Yes,
right.
sir.
All right. All right. So I actually modified the header because it was not really describing the data I have here. So I want to also enhance this a little, because when you are creating analysis dashboard, you need to make sure that it is user friendly. So I want to see how I can activate grid line to separate this value. So I will select the whole of that section like this. Then go to Home tab. Then come to where you have under font, under font. Come to where you have this, and then select all borders. So why I did that is just to, to box those values so that they can stand out from each of the cell they are boxed in. So even this section, even this, I can also box them. So the same thing. So the whole of this section, I can highlight them and then apply it. Then the same thing. So you are only trying to enhance your user interface. You are trying to enhance, trying to have a more user interface design. Okay. All right. So this is how I answer the question that says that what is the, or analyze total profit per region. That is the question we answered here now. Now, another thing again we can do, I refer to this as multi-level analysis or multiple criteria analysis. Now, what you have analyzed here is the sum of total profit per region. That is what we have done here now. Now, if you are asked to break this value down per order of priority, let's go to the data set so that you understand the communication. Now, what you did actually there was the summary of all the values here per each of the unique region. Now, the company wants you to break down that result per sales channel. The company wants you to break down that report per sales channel or even per item type. That is multi-level analysis. At the same time, it falls under multiple criteria analysis. So now I want you to watch how I am going to do that. So let us write the question again in case you did not get it. We have performed the first phase of the analysis, which says summarize the total profit per region. And the second aspect of it is that, okay, you have done well. You have been able to tell us that Asia generated this. Australia and Oceania generated this. Now, we want to know the percentage of the respective sales channel. Remember, under sales channel, we have offline sales, we have online sales. So the company want to know out of this value, how much did offline generated and how much did online generated. That is the breakdown you want to give. So how do you handle this kind of analysis? What you do is that you click on that same report. Okay. Now, you now add the sales channel to the region section, not to the value. You add it here. So once you add it here, it will automatically break it down
per the unique value under that particular header. Under that header. Because under this header, say channel, we have just offline, and then we have what? Online. So now you can collapse your results, your analysis, depending on the one you are focusing on, and you can also expand your analysis. Okay? So now this is how you are going to be communicating it. So for example, when the company asks you, what is the total profit generated per region? You mention it like this. And then when they now ask you, okay, what is the breakdown of that profit per the item, per the sales channel? You now come to this plus here and click. So you get the breakdown. So now you have answered it. Now in your summary sheet, that is where you are compiling your observation. Okay, remember that you are not going to present this to the stakeholders. So at the end of all your analysis, you are expected to sit down and be expanding them and be taking note of the value generated per this and tell them which one is actually trending. So if I'm writing my report now, I am going to say, after my analysis, I observed that offline, which one generated? Offline generated more profits in Asia than what? Online. So which means that what? The customers in Asia rather, they use more of this channel for transaction than what? The online. So once I've noted that, I'll go to the next country to see if I can also pin down some observation. So you can see that in this country, which is, this region, Australia and Oceania, online is doing better than what? Offline. So you take your time to note all this, because those information that you are deducing, they are actually what will help them in making decision, not this your technical work. So the whole of this technical work is just for you to arrive at that executive report which you are going to present. So I believe it's clear. Let me get a response before I proceed. Are we following?
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Can you just take this last one again?
Okay, so let me turn it off. Let me turn it off. So this is what we had before, right? So this was a single criteria analysis where we were asked to just summarize the total profit per region. Now, after we have presented it, the company now further asks you that, okay, can you give us the breakdown of this value that you generated for this Asia per sales channel? They want to know, okay, in this value, how much they generated through offline as one of the sales channel, and how much they generated through online as one of what? The sales channel. So that was what led to adding this. So I just dragged this sales channel and added it to my to my region where I have already performed the first analysis. So immediately I added it, it expanded the outcome. So that was what brought this expansion icon, and you can also what? Collapse it. I believe it's clear now. Mercy, is it clear?
Yes, sir. It's okay, sir.
Okay, so I want to pause. Yes, sir. I want to pause for the next 10 minutes. So I want us to do something like this. I believe we all have the same data. So start from analyzing this single metric analysis before you give me this. 10 minutes to attempt that. Then I can be on someone's screen in order to monitor what you are doing. So you Just switch, just turn it off. Just turn it off. Okay, I think you have done that. You have done that. You have done that. Which one is that one?
This is wrong, go.
You duplicated it.
So, wait, I'm coming.
Which question did you answer?
No, I'm trying to get, okay, I've gotten the revenue. I don't know why this one now came now. I'm trying to delete it. Okay, let me go like this.
Delete pivot table.
Ah, okay, okay. I didn't know everything just went like that.
We answer the other aggregate analysis so that we can proceed.
Okay, sir. Okay, this one, I have to go back to the dashboard and so the data.
Yes.
This thing is covering me.
Yes, you have to go back to the data. Okay, let's quickly do that so that we can proceed. Obviously, we cannot complete the pivot table.
Okay, that's okay. So when Nana said the existing cheat, is okay like this now.
I can't see your screen here. Where are you now? Have you started? Okay, good. It just came out now. Oh yeah, click inside the location box.
Yes, sir.
Click inside the location box. Make sure your cursor is blinking inside.
Okay, sir. This
no. The location box.
Yeah.
Also blinking there already.
No, I'm already here.
You're already where? Okay.
Hello.
I want to ensure that your
cursor. I'm trying to insert a pivot table. Then to connect it to return back to the same page of the first dashboard I was using. Is that right?
I want to know if your cursor is blinking inside that location text box. Is it blinking there?
Yes, sir.
But I can't find it here. I don't know whether it's his network. Go back
and let me cancel and start it. Let me start again.
Okay, yeah, quickly.
Can you see me now, sir?
Yes.
I selected all the data, so I now went to insert. So when I got to insert, then pivot table. So I'm here now. So I want to use existing sheets instead of creating a new sheet. That is where I am now. So what next, sir, please?
Click on, are you already inside? Okay, it just came out now.
Yes, okay, dashboards. Yeah.
Yes, I can see it here now. Good. Now go to your dashboard. Go to your dashboard. Go and click on dashboard sheet. Don't click OK here too.
Okay. Okay, I'll now return to the dashboard.
Have you gone to the dashboard now?
Yes, I'm there now.
It's like my network is behind your network.
I click OK.
Have you selected any cell?
Yes, sir.
Where did you select? Did you click on it? Did you select any cell here? It's not just clicking on this. You ought to click on one of the cells. So go back.
Okay, let me see, repeat it again. Okay. Then I will now return to
Dashboard.
So the dashboard.
Is it the dashboard?
I'm trying to return to the dashboard. What is happening now?
Oh yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
so
Where is the dashboard
why.
now?
Mm-hmm.
You have mixed up your sheet.
I'm at the dashboard now.
And let me see the reports you have already generated before, because I have not yet seen them. I have not seen all those reports. Those things, I can't see that. What I'm seeing.
These are the reports I've generated. This is it, sir.
Hold on. You are just in the right place now. No, you are just in the right place now. Now, under that sum of total profits, the third, click on an empty cell. Click on an empty cell.
Okay, sir.
Good. Now, before
I've done that.
Yes. Now you can click OK. Click OK.
I've done that. It said data source reference is invalid. I'm sorry, it's not valid.
You have missed up all this going to differentiate to another. So there is a mix up somewhere. Okay, just hold on, just on share so that we can round up. I'm still going to do more of this type of analysis so that you can correct it. So I will address it in.
Okay, actually on share.
Yes, on share. Let me continue. Just on share. I will address it in my analysis. I will address it. So I believe you can all see my screen now, right?
Okay, sir.
Can you see my screen now?
No.
You cannot see my screen?
Yes, I can see. I can see your screen. I can see it.
Okay. Coming. Okay, so I am going to answer more questions that will involve what we are trying to do. So just pay attention. Now, we have another question to answer, and the question is, this same report that you have here, we want to break, I think, let me see if I capture this here. So the question is, what is the total numbers of transactions per region? The total numbers of transactions per region. That is the next question I want to answer. Total numbers of transactions per region. I expect you to be writing down some of these questions so that when you want to replicate it, you know what to do. Total numbers of transaction per region. So that is the next question. So now check what I'm going to do now. This is what we are trying to achieve. And I'm going to use that same method to answer the question. Now, once you hear total number, it means that this is counting analysis. So the function you are going to use is count. So the first thing I'm going to do is to go back to my data set, like you were trying to do now. Make sure that you get the whole data set selected. After you have done that, the next thing I'm going to do is to go to the insert as if I want to start activating the pivot table first time. Then click on pivot table. Now this is what we are doing. Then you make sure that you switch from new worksheets. Why? Because I already have a dashboard. So this is not like you want to create the pivot report in the same data source. You have already created another working environment entirely. So that is what you are referring to here as existing worksheet, not the data sheet. So I'll switch here, and the way I'm going to tell the function that I am not talking about this one, I'll make sure that my cursor is blinking here. Then I will switch to that sheet, and then I will specify where I want it. Remember what I told us, I'm trying to design my report, so I'll put it here. I'll put it here. In fact, let me leave here because I'm going to put the graph of this one here. So let me bring it immediately after this one. So I'll just select one of the cell. So once you select that cell, it will reference the location automatically. Then I click OK. So you can see that it has generated an empty report. This is empty report because we have not added data. Now to add data to this, that will not make me to capture the question. The question says, I should count the entire entry per region. So I am going to add region to what? To row first, just to list out all the unique word region. Then after that, I am going to add any of the number header. It could be the same total profit. You add it here. Then you will now switch by right-clicking on any of these, then going to summarize value by, then switch to count. So I have just answered that question. So the next thing is for me to format it like this one. So I'm going to copy the format I have already given to this one. And how am I going to do that? I will highlight that very one that I've already formatted. Then I will go back to home and click on Format Painter, and then go and highlight the whole of this table area. So automatically you have inherited the initial table format on this. Now, remember that in this question here, we also gave a breakdown of this. We gave a breakdown of total profit per the sales channel. Now, that is also required here. So that is the second question. The second question is, I expect us to be writing this question down, except you can draft them on your own. The second question is a breakdown question, the one that require breaking this, how many offline sales channel generated or are in this total 11 counts. So which means the question will be, analyze the breakdown, analyze the breakdown per sales channel. Per sales channel. So what I'm going to do is to add the sales channel. Remember that this is the report we are working with. So select one of the value, then just drag the sales channel and add it to that region, just like we did. And then it will give us the breakdown per sales channel. So out of the 11 total number of transactions we're having from Asia, now we have 6 of them from our true online channel, and then we have 5 of them through online channel. Then we can now write our observation that offline is also leading here. So you can see that there is correlation between this report and that report. So in case you are wondering, what could have made this to have the highest? You know, when we expanded it the other time, we noticed that offline generated more profit than the online. Now, in case you want to know what could have led to that, you can see that the total number of transactions that happens there is more than the one that happened through the online. So you note that then as the reason why you have the total sales or the total profits generated through the online channel than the online channel. Okay, so now that we have achieved that, we have been able to generate at least one report, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now here is a dashboard. Your dashboard should be mixed up with graph, because graph will have a way of allowing us to quickly identify the trend and the pattern. So that will now take us to this. That will take us to advanced command. So I will just talk about Power BI chatting. Power BI chatting. So let me see, I think I have it as the last one. So the time will not, Power BI, sorry, pivot table chatting. Pivot table chatting. So a pivot table chatting, also called pivot charts in Excel, is a dynamic chart that is directly linked, that is connected to a pivot table. That is what? To the report. The main reason for activating it is that it visualizes the summarized data from the pivot table and updates automatically when you change or filter the pivot table. So that is a simple explanation of the pivot chart. So let's see how we can apply it in our analysis. So let me go back to Excel. Now, I want to visualize this very one here, either with pie chart or with bar chart, depending on the one you feel that will help you to quickly identify your pattern, your trend, and the outliers. So you select the particular report you want to visualize. So once you have selected it, then it will activate this tab called Pivot Table Analyze. So make sure that you are on it. Then once you are on it, you navigate to the tool section. You will see pivot charts. So just click on it, and then it will prompt you different charts. So you pick the one you think is the best one. So I would like to use, let me use the bar chart. So the difference between the bar chart and the column chart is that one will generate a horizontal bar, while the other one will generate a vertical bar. So you just have to assess, if you have a horizontal bar here, is that going to define or design your dashboard better than if you have a horizontal or a vertical? So you put that into consideration. Okay, so now let me work with this. So I can choose any of these to present it. So I think I'll prefer this, and then click OK. So I have the graph here. Then I will arrange it in a way that it will form a design within my report. So you can come to the format section, can come to the design section in order to modify this graph. Now, if you check the bar you have here, if I select switch, you can see that what it has switched the graph to what color. Before, all the bars were in one color. So now the moment I switch, I have a better presentation. So as you switch, something also happens. It's also, switch your report from vertical to what? Horizontal. From vertical to horizontal. So you need to put that into consideration. So let me see if I can go back to design and switch back so that you can have a vertical one. So if you want it to be color type, then I would advise you to generate horizontal report so that when you switch, it will give you a vertical report that will give you the best presentation. So I could just enhance this. Let me just work with this default format. These are some of the already made format that you can exploit. So if it's too small, you can increase it in order for you to see the values very well. So you can double click here to expand this section. Same thing here to expand this. So I have it created. All right. So let me see if I can reduce it this way. Okay, so now I also want to create a graph for this. So I'll also click here. And remember that you go to pivot table analyze and then click on pivot chart and try having different charts in your reporting. So this time around, I'll choose this just to complement the first one, and then I'll click OK. So I'll pick it up and try to put it where I feel it will beautify my report. There is also need for me to enhance this graph to detail it because it's not detailed enough. So I will need to attach the value to each of the sector. So that will now take me back to design. So from design, I'll come to add chart elements, and then I'll select data label. So under the option given, I can select this or this. Remember that we did counting analysis. So I can select any of these. I would like them to be outside. Then if you like, we have some already made here already. So anywhere you feel that you can exploit, or better still, you work with the defaults. If you have a better presentation, you can choose it here.
There's one that I feel. Let me see.
So I can use this because this is actually analyzing both the number and also the percentage. So I can go to my formats. If I want to give it background color, and try to give it background color that probably align with some of the colors you have used. So this is how you can chart your pivot reports. Remember that visualization or graph help us to easily identify. Like that question we tried to decode the other time, you can see that it is very easy for us to know which one is doing better. You can see it here. This is Sub-Sahara, followed by Europe, and then the list is what? North America. So if I have not presented this with graph, for me to find those information I just read up now, I will have to start comparing the value before I can achieve that. Is it clear? Please let me get a response before I proceed. Are we still following? Hello?
Yes, sir, I'm following.
All right, all right. So the last thing we want to look at is pivot table slicer. Pivot table slicer. So I think I also have it in my slide. Pivot table slicer. Pivot table slicer. So what is pivot table slicer? A pivot table slicer in Excel is a visual filter tool that makes it easier to filter data in a pivot table. It shows button that you can click. It shows buttons that you can click. It shows button that you can click to filter the pivot table instantly without using the drop-down menu. So you cannot actually successfully build dashboard with pivot table without involving slicer. So slicer is a powerful technology, just to put it in a better definition, is like a filter, but like an advanced filter command that helps us to display value simultaneously across all the reports we must have generated. And remember that the slicer will help us to use this same model to answer different analysis questions. So instead of you duplicating this report just because you want to answer different questions, you can activate your slicer and be able to use these same models, these same reports you have created to answer different analysis questions or draw different insights from this data set. So how do we activate the slicer? You have to select one of the reports. So let's say I want to start by activating the slicer on this report. So once you have clicked on that, it will also activate your pivot table analyze option. Then you now come to this section under filter. So you click on insert slicer. So it will automatically pop up all the headers in that data set. So which means that there should be a criteria for filtering across all the created tables, reports. So you need to be creative here so that you don't end up repeating the question some of this model has answered. So you need to target another question entirely. That is, for example, this particular model is answering analysis question that says, what is the total summary of profit per region? So I shouldn't use region to filter. So I should think of, okay, so since this particular one is giving me the breakdown per region, and there is no place where I analyze per item, so I would like to slice on this by item. That is, this particular report is the total of all the various types of products which are items in this data set from Asia. Now, if I want to narrow to one of the products, if, for example, I have an idea of any of the products, let me go back to the data just for proper understanding. Okay, because we are already here. Okay, we will definitely go back. But I want us to understand the communication. Under the item type, we have baby food, we have cereal, we have office supply. Now, what you analyze here is the total profit generated from baby food in Asia, cereal from Asia. Now, if I want to know only the sum of profits generated from this Asia, but for only baby food. So that is another analysis entirely now. So that is where this slicer will come in now. So let's quickly go back again. Like I said, select the report you want to attach the slicer to, and then go to your pivot table analyze, and then click on insert slicer. Then I will filter based on item type. Based on item type, which means that this item type is the filtering criteria that I want to use. So I will just turn it on and then click. So what will happen is that it will list out all the categorical items. So these are the unique items you have in the data set that probably it says the profit generated from baby food plus beverages plus cereal or clothes in Asia that generated this. But now I am being asked as a data analyst to use this same model, which is currently giving me the breakdown of the different items sold in this region, to display only items sold, which is equal to baby food. So if I click on baby food, I want you to watch what will happen here. So I click on baby food. So the report you get now is that baby food was not sold in Asia. That is why Asia is not mentioned. So in Australia and Oceania region, they say the profit generated from only baby food items sold is this. In Europe, the sum of profit generated from baby food only is this. In sub-Saharan Africa, the sum of profit generated from baby food only is this. And then the total is this. So now if I go to another product now, if I want to see the profit generated from another item, if I click, so this is for another item. So you can see that this item added Central America and what? Caribbean. So if I click on Siri, so you can see that as I'm clicking, what you notice is that as the values are changing here, they are equally changing on this graph, but they are not changing across this other report. So I want to show us, before I end this section, how we can make it in a way that as we select baby food here, when it analyzes the total profit per country, sorry, per region, for the sales of only that product, it will also tell us the profit generated from that item on this report, also tell us how many of each transaction they actually what perform, and the average of those transactions, and also the total revenue per that what product. So to do that, that will take us to how to connect our slicer. So the reason why the slicer is analyzing only this, remember that this one is a descendant of this. Out of this, we created this just to be visualizing it. That is why it's affecting only this and this. This was a report you selected before you created the slicer. That is the reason why it is not affecting this, 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 and even other report we have here. So for me to make this slicer rather, to analyze across all my report models, I need to connect it to all of them. How do you connect it? You select that slicer. A minute. So you select that slicer that you want to connect to other reports. Then once you click on the slicer, it will prompt you this option. You see this option, depending on the version of Excel you are using. In case your own version add a tag or a tab called option, you click on the option. But my own is indicating what? Slicer. Your own displays of slicer can be option. So once you click on it, what you are looking for is this command, which says report connection. So once you click here, it will list out all the reports you have in this particular dashboard. So you can see that it is only one, which is what? Pivot table 5, which is this one that is checked. So what you are going to do is to check all of them one after the other. So by checking them, it means you are automatically linking this slicer to slice across or to filter across all of them. So if I click OK now, I have connected it now. Now, the next time I want to answer that question, so if I want to view the total profit generated from only this particular item, if I click here, I want to watch what is happening. You can see that what? That has analyzed across all the reports I have here. So right now you have to interpret it if you are presenting to stakeholder, because these models are no longer explaining what they were explaining before. Because now you have narrowed your report down to only one product. So if you are to explain it, you will say here, remember the original analysis you did here, which was the total profit from all the region. But what you are currently analyzing with this same model is the total profit generated from all the region where product or item type is equal to what? Baby food. That is what this model is outputting now. So how do I interpret this? Initially, what you did here was analysis of the total numbers of transactions from all the region. But now, as we have sliced, what we are analyzing is the total numbers of transactions made from only that particular product. So how do I cancel it in case I want to view for another product? You click on this icon here, which says clear filter. So it will return everything to what? To the default. Now I can view for beverage. So as you are slicing, you are writing down your observation. Each time you slice, you compare the value. So right now we are slicing with beverage. So which means that I am supposed to pick my biro or maybe my PowerPoint and observe what has happened across all the reports. So I will interpret here. So under the summary of total per region, I will now write that was based on the beverages item sold. This was what this one generated. Then you look for the highest, and then the highest, I think the highest is Australia. And then you also point out the list. You write down all that. That is what we call your executive report that will actually guide them in decision making. Then you pick another report and observe. You pick another report, you take note of the value you got here when it was baby food. Look at what we are having there now. Now, if I move to beverage, then you see the value. So you compare. I also note down your observation. Okay. So finally, I want to show us how you can actually select slides with multiple options. You can see that all the ones I've been slicing says I'll be using just one item. If I am asked that use this same model to present or to analyze the total profit generated for baby food and beverages at the same time, what you are going to do, you take everything off, then you click on this icon that says what? Multiple select. So once it is activated, you can click on one and then two. So the report you are giving right now is the total profit generated across different regions where product is equals to baby food and beverages. So I can add, okay, let me also analyze cereal. So you can see that the values are changing. Let me also analyze clothes. The values are also changing because I have connected the slicer. Any question, please? Is it clear to us before we end the section? So I will continue from here on Saturday. We still have some few things to conclude on the slicer, or let's say on the pivot table before we end this topic. Any question, please?
There is no question, but I have to go through it again. That is on my own.
It's necessary. So, Mrs. Onye, you want to say something? So, yeah, I don't know. Is it that you change your location? You have been having a network issue these days. Please, if you can communicate through the message channel, please, let me just get a feedback from you before I end the class. Okay, so let me assume that everything is okay. Okay, let me think I have your message here. All right. So let's end the section here. So what you have to do for me as your assignment before the next section, I want you to create a very beautiful dashboard. You can choose different data sets you want to work with, and then every one of you will present your report like this before I continue. Please, this assignment is compulsory. If you join the next section and you have nothing like this to present, then you will receive query. So please, I'm advising us to do the needful. What is the assignment again? You should be able to go through the video and create series of reports, add your slicer, just like I did now. You can choose the criteria for your slicer, then just make sure that you replicate exactly what I have done, even more beautiful than this, because I have not really formatted it. So when I'm done with all the reports, I will now focus on, designing the background color in order to have an attractive dashboard. But at this level, I'm just creating the report. So once I have perfected the report aspect, I will now start from formatting, just like the way I formatted here. I'll try and start working with color. All these empty spaces, I will fill them with color. I will turn off the grid line in order to have a more presentable dashboard. So good night, everyone. See us on Saturday. Have a blessed week ahead.
Thank you, sir. Amen.
You're welcome.